This is sort of a bittersweet moment because we're losing one of I won't say losing. We're temporarily retiring one of our beloved professors here, Professor Neil Granger. On behalf of LSU Health Shreveport, it is my honor to welcome all of you today with a special welcome to our honoree and his wonderful family. Dr. Neil Granger, this afternoon was set aside as a time to acknowledge the immeasurable impact that you have had on our Health Sciences Center and to thank you for the 31 years of dedicated service, which technically ends October 31st, and I know that's Halloween and everything on October 31st. And while Neil's retirement is well-deserved for him and for his family, he will be sorely missed here on our campus. Dr. Granger is one of a handful of individuals, a very small hand, by the way, a very small handful of individuals in the history of this very, very young institution who has brought national and certainly international acclaim to our Health Sciences Center. And for that, we, as your LSU Health family, Neil, are deeply grateful. During your more than 3 decades of service to our Health Science Center, you have made numerous significant contributions in the area of research, teaching, and service. As a department chair, your efforts as a mentor and teacher to faculty and numerous students alike have been nothing short of exceptional. Your outstanding scientific work has received national and international recognition and as a result has brought the same distinction to your department and to your beloved institution. During your exemplary career here in Shreveport, you were honored with the most distinguished and highest professorial rank awarded, the Boyd Professorship. To reflect on Neil's career accomplishments, I'd like to ask Dr. Dennis O'Callahan, Chairman of Microbiology and Immunology and fellow Boyd Professor, to come to the podium, and more importantly, one of Neil's best friends.
I'll try to be brief, but there's so much to tell about Neil. In 1986, I chaired the search committee that convinced Neil to come here as the new head of the Department of Physiology. In the last 31 years, Neil and I have become close friends, trusted colleagues, and we interact almost on a daily basis. I have watched him have tremendously positive influence on all aspects of our center, including the academic mission, the research mission, and the service mission. So what I'm going to do in the few minutes given to me, I'm going to tell you about some of his achievements, but it's only the tip of the iceberg. Neil was the Associate Dean of Research for 8 years, from 93 to 01. And he also was chair of the Research Council. During his tenure as our dean, he oversaw the use of the new building, the BRI. And he set up the procedures and policies so that research entity would be used wisely and fairly. He also played a major role in trying to set up our core facility, which has grown significantly under the direction of Rob Shervinack. When he gave up his deanship, his IQ increased significantly, and then he continued to be on the Research Council, and we are going to miss his sage advice from that body. For 10 years, Neil was the chairman of the board of directors of the Institute of Cardiovascular Diseases. And under his leadership, the Institute became a certified center certified by the Louisiana Board of Regents. The great thing about his leadership was Neil set up the procedures and policies so that the use of the cardiovascular funds would be transparent, would be fair, and would be effective. Let me give you a litany of just a few of the major contributions Neil has made trying to recruit other leaders to our campus. He has served as chairman or member of the following search committees, just to give you an example. Twice the chair, looking for the chair of anatomy, the chair of pathology, the chair of biochemistry, the chair of surgery, chair of neurology, chief of cardiology, director of human resources. He served on the committee to recruit a Willis Knight Endowed Chair in molecular medicine, to recruit a Schumpeter Chair in neurobiology. He also, at a higher level above the chairs, he served on a search committee for the Dean of Medicine that was set up by Dr. McDonald. He served on the committee to try to locate a president of the BRI, a vice chancellor of research, and the director of the Cancer Center. Neil has played a major role in trying to get us to be academically secure and even excellent. Some of his contributions in the area of academics, and again, this is a short list, just the tip of the iceberg. He has served on the Graduate Council, which is the body that oversees the graduate school. He has served on the LCME study committee for both the medical school and the graduate school. He served on the curriculum committee, the curriculum reform committee, the task force on student grading, the administrative council, and years ago he was chairman several times and a member of the promotion and tenure committee. Those are in the old days, Neil, when chairmen were allowed to be on that committee. They're fearful of us doing this. So this is just a short list of many of the enormously positive impact that Neil has had on every aspect of our institution. As the chancellor mentioned in 1998, Neil had special recognition being appointed the first Boyd professor on this campus. In the entire history of the LSU system, in all of its components, there have only been about 65 Boyd professors. This was a tremendous honor that Neil was recognized. And beyond Neil, I think it sent a message across the state that these people up here in rural North Louisiana, is the way we were viewed, that actually have a good research enterprise and have talented people like Neil Granger. Let me tell you in closing two special advantages that Neil has had that has made him the person that he is. The first one is great genes and good environment. Neil has wonderful parents. Willis and Edith Granger are in their mid-90s. They live in downtown Erath, not at the suburbs, downtown. I've had the pleasure of meeting them. They're truly wonderful folks. They have had 11 children, each of whom has excelled in his or her profession. The 4 girls are social worker, a CPA, accountant, school teacher, just tremendously professional people. 3 of the boys are internationally known physiologists. In addition to Neil, Joey is dean of the graduate school and professor of physiology at the University of Mississippi Medical Center. Harris has been chairman and professor of physiology at Texas A&M Medical Center. Some of the males have been very successful businessmen, entrepreneurs, and even inventors. And several of them have become multi-millionaires on many occasions. So with this good gene pool that he has in a very positive environment, as you know from Molecular Biology 1, you need the right environment for the genes to be expressed. And that environment has allowed Neil, I think, to have a good outcome. The second secret weapon that Neil has is a person named Cynthia Myrick, who for the last 47 years is known as Cindy Granger. Cindy was Neil's childhood sweetheart. Somehow he convinced her to marry him. And for the last 47 years, she has been his strongest supporter and helper. She has helped Neil in the recruitment of faculty, fellows, graduate students, etc. Cindy, in her own right, is a great citizen of our institution. For many, many, many years, she's been a participant in the Reach Out and Read program, and she continues to be a volunteer in our Cancer Center. So in summary, good genes, a positive environment, a loving and supportive partner. Is there any doubt that Daniel Neil Granger would become the special person that he is? So Neil, Cindy, we thank you. Good luck. We sure as hell going to miss you. Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to introduce our next presenter. It's Norman Harris. Dr. Harris is professor of molecular and cellular physiology, and on November 1st will become the interim chair of the department. His IQ hasn't started dropping yet, but I warn you, November 1st. Norman got his doctoral training in bioengineering at a little school in Tennessee called Vanderbilt. He did postdocs both here and at Penn State, and Neil got him to come back here. He's been a leader in our campus. He's an NIH-funded investigator who works on microvascular pathology in diabetes retinopathy. Norman?
I'm going to talk about what Neil has meant to the Department of Physiology in his role as a mentor and also as a leader, not only to our current members, but also to those from the past. In fact, one of the indicators of how well he has mentored us comes from the number of faculty that have moved on to positions of leadership elsewhere as department heads, as directors of research centers, one or more deans, and also a college president. Also, many of his international trainees have moved on to similar positions of leadership. One of these was recently named Canada's Health Researcher of the Year. All of these former members of physiology would certainly attribute a large part of their success to the mentorship that they were given by Neil. Neil has always led by example. He doesn't ask us to do anything that he is not already doing himself, whether it is the number of teaching hours or the quality of that teaching, or the success with grants, or the number of papers being published. To help us in each of those areas, he always makes himself available. For example, always willing to read through our grant proposals and give us valuable and critical insight. He has given us an enormous amount of support through the years by providing additional funds for our research and making sure that we have the equipment and the facilities that we need. He never says no to helping others. Researchers from all over this country, as well as internationally, have come to his lab to learn techniques and to make use of his expertise, to which he always freely gives. Neil has been my mentor now for roughly half my life, for over 26 years since I first came here to LSU Medical Center. And I can't put into words how much he has meant to me. Those of us in the Department of Physiology who have been mentored by Neil will never reach his incredible achievements, but if we don't follow the examples that he has set for us, it's our own fault because we've had the very best teacher. So from all of us in the Department of Physiology, thank you, Neil. And now I'd like to introduce our Vice Chancellor for Research, Chris Kevin.
Thank you, Norm and Dennis, for those fantastic comments. Well, let me see here. I was told to just hit enter and it would work, but hey, we'll give this another go. Aha, there we are. So I would be remiss without giving everyone a little bit of the history that Dr. Granger has bestowed upon us so generously and so graciously over the years. I certainly echo everything that both Dr. Harris and Dr. O'Callaghan have said, but I thought it would be important to give you a little bit of insight about the true incredible accomplishments this fine gentleman has given, not only those of us here at LSU, but the world. So to give you a little bit of background, this is our friend and colleague and leader. He originally received his bachelor's degree at the University of southwestern Louisiana, down in Lake Charles, if I recall. Lafayette, I'm sorry, thank you. See, I'm a northern Louisiana boy. I'm not a southern Louisiana boy. So my father would be disappointed with me because he's from Lafayette. In 1973, but then moved on to the University of Mississippi in 1975, and then completed his master's degree and then his PhD in 1977. From then, as we heard Dr. O'Callaghan say, he had a brief pit stop at the University of South Alabama in Mobile, which I'll share with you in a moment, and then also along the way found his way here to Shreveport. Over the duration, he has had 624 publications. That is truly unprecedented. He is listed in the top 1% of cited investigators, cited scientists in the world. And mind you, this comes from all disciplines, all scientists, including economists, including physicists, biochemists, and his H-index, for those of you who know what that is 126. And in fact, he's actually been cited more than Einstein, which I was just blown away by. It's pretty amazing. The thing that stood out to me, for those of you who may not know, I was a graduate student in the Department of Physiology, and I couldn't have known the luck that I would have by going to that department. Dr. Granger actually showed through his leadership, not only through the American Physiological Society, but also the Microcirculation Society, the outstanding work that can be done here in Shreveport and at our medical school. This shows you some of the early days. I gave a teaser, unfortunately, this slide here, but I think it's pretty exemplary for those of us who are physiologists that really understand the impact of the work that Neil has made. This is his mentor here, Dr. Aubrey Taylor. Here is Neil, and several years ago, his brother Harris. And you can see other gentlemen, Dr. John Pappenheimer, who at the time was at Harvard, Dr. Bjorn Folklaw, and Dr. Christian Krohn. This was the centennial meeting of the APS, where these gentlemen really did lay the foundation for a lot of the microcirculation and cardiovascular physiology that's made its way through every single textbook that I'm aware of. Importantly, if one were to sum up the contribution that Dr. Granger has had through the years, really he initially started off in measuring blood flow and solupermeability, which is the way that molecules pass across a blood vessel wall. That's important from everything from acute respiratory distress syndrome to folks that have lymphedema to a whole wide range of disease states. This just shows you the impact, listing some of his early papers and the number of times that they've been cited. From there, he continued to expand his research repertoire and the impact that he had on various fields. In particular, we all know that the Granger lab had a pivotal and foundational role in identifying the pathophysiology of what's called ischemia reperfusion injury. For those of you who don't know what this is, if you have a heart attack and all of a sudden blood flow goes back to your heart, that is ischemia and reperfusion. And more importantly, the subsequent events that happen after that are really important and the target of nearly every drug that has been looked at to impact cardiovascular health. Some of the work that he did was actually fundamental, and people who I know through various societies comment on a routine basis the huge impact that Dr. Granger had in conjunction with Dr. Joe McCord during their time at the University of South Alabama. From there, he moved on with the help of a gentleman that we just heard a little bit about a moment ago, who was this year's Canadian Health Researcher of the Year, Dr. Paul Koobs, who was a postdoctoral fellow here. Paul came to the lab, and I've talked to Paul several times about his time in the Granger lab, and he speaks very highly of it. The one thing I would like to point out to you is that this paper that you see, the first one here in PNAS, which stands for Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, is a landmark paper. This was at a time when the molecule nitric oxide, which now many in this institution have heard of because it's cardioprotective, and in fact, 3 gentlemen won the Nobel Prize in 1998 for it. This paper showed that nitric oxide was actually a good molecule, began to pull back the veil that nitric oxide would be bad. There was a couple of fellows over at the University of Alabama in Birmingham who really thought that it was a bad guy and that it could do bad things. However, Dr. Granger's lab and the team that he surrounded here at LSU really pulled the curtains off of that and realized that that molecule was vital in cardiovascular health. And then more recently, as if all of that wasn't enough, Dr. Granger continued to add to the scientific literature and to the whole pathophysiological understanding of cardiovascular disease through the process of what's known as leukocyte endothelial cell interactions. These are a lot of fancy words that I'm using, and I apologize if some of them don't make sense, but the point of this is looking at how an immune cell interacts with the blood vessel, which, come to find out, was really one of the most important interactions that controlled a lot of ischemia reperfusion injury. And in fact, as you can see, these are listed some of the most impactful publications that have come out of the lab. Even as recent as 2006, his laboratory was revealing new ground and new territory in the field of stroke research. So I would be remiss to say that there's any one major impact or major discovery from Dr. Granger's laboratory. There's actually a whole valley and a whole field of discoveries. So with that being said, Sir Isaac Newton was quoted and well known to say, "If I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants." And Dr. Granger, you are one. Thank you. Dr. Gallen?
Cindy, we're both glad that Neil doesn't have a mustache anymore. Trust me. No, it's okay. I like it. I like it. At this time, what I'd like to do is read a proclamation that is tailored for Dr. Granger from the city of Shreveport, from Mayor Ollie S. Tyler. And I'm not going to read the whole thing. This is the original here with a seal of the city. But I'm going to read a little bit of it. And then we also have a gift for you, Neil, and then we'll ask Dr. Granger to come up and make some comments. Whereas Dr. Granger has a distinct designation as a highly cited investigator by the Institution for Scientific Information, ranking him in the top 1% of cited scientists internationally. And whereas, over the years, he has amassed more than 600 peer-reviewed publications in prestigious international journals, and whereas, through highly acclaimed service as a professor and chairman of the Department of Molecular and Cellular Physiology at LSU Health Shreveport since 1987, during which time Dr. Granger served as the president of the Microcirculatory Society and American Physiologic Society. He received numerous international awards, to include recognition from the British and Japanese Microcirculation Societies and the World Congress for Microcirculation, and was awarded more than $25 million in federal research funding, greatly benefiting LSU Health Shreveport and the economy of the city of Shreveport. And whereas, because he is internationally recognized for his knowledge and findings in the field of vascular diseases associated with acute and chronic inflammation, Dr. Granger has brought tremendous prestige to LSU Health Shreveport and to the city of Shreveport, the LSU system, and the entire region. Now, therefore, I, Ollie S. Tyler, Mayor of the city of Shreveport, do hereby proclaim Wednesday, October 25th, 2017 as Dr. D. Neil Granger Day. Congratulations. We're going to have Dr. Granger make some comments, but this is, I believe, a gift from Victoria's Secret for you. It's from Lewis's gifts, I'm sorry. That with a mustache will be something else, yeah. Dr. Granger.
Thank you. Wow, if I had known this, I was going to have this experience, I may have retired a little earlier. Thinking of that quotation up there made me, seeing that quotation, and thank you for that, Chris, made me think of another quotation that may explain one of the reasons why I'm retiring at the age of 66. It's a quotation by Thomas Huxley. I wrote it down. Wasn't sure I'd remember it up here, which says that men of science past 60 do more harm than good. When I saw that, I made a note of it. I thought one day I may find some use for it. And this may be it. So anyway, I want to thank Drs. Ghali, O'Callahan, Harris, and Kevel for all the kind words. Actually, for their very generous assessment of my contributions to the institution and to the department. So I'm very grateful, I remain grateful that I was given the opportunity to serve as chair of the Department of Physiology at the age of 35. I wasn't sure if I could pull that off, but it was a great opportunity for me because what came with the job was also, at the time, 6 faculty positions because the former chair left to go to another institution and took 6 people with him, creating a huge hole and actually compromising their ability of the Department of Physiology to teach the incoming class of medical students physiology. So not only did I have those positions, but I had to hire them within short order, just a few months. And so I did what I thought was the right thing to do, and was to reach out to some friends who I had worked with before, who were spread out all over the country, and was able to convince them to come and interview for the job together, which actually was a very interesting negotiating position because the dean of the medical school at the time, who I admired greatly, Dr. Darrell Williams, realized, and I've made it clear to him, if one of these fellows pull out, the whole deal's going to fall apart. And as a consequence of that, we pretty much all got what we wanted and were able to come here fairly quickly and teach physiology to the new class of medical students. Anyway, since in the 31 years since my arrival here, time has passed very quickly. I've enjoyed it all. I've enjoyed the research. I've enjoyed the teaching. I've enjoyed the administration. But much of the success that I have enjoyed here is a result of having, and I hope I can make it through. Bear with me. Is a result of having an outstanding support group. Personnel engaged in every facet of operation of the medical center, including the administration, the faculty, the staff, the students, and fellows, within physiology and outside of physiology. All of these individuals, or should I say all of you, have helped to make this a friendly, nurturing, and intellectually stimulating environment for career training and for career development. Certainly was helpful to me. I'm particularly grateful to the faculty in physiology, both present and past, that have allowed me to serve for as long as I have as their leader and for their unwavering commitment to academic excellence. I've also been fortunate to have worked with some outstanding office staff whose expertise and dedication have significantly lessened the load for me and the faculty alike, and who have helped to foster a collegial working environment. And finally, I'm grateful to the many students and fellows who have come to LSU and to our department to be trained as a research scientist. These trainees have been the lifeblood of our research program, representing not only a workforce, but also a renewable source of imagination and intellectual curiosity. So, in ending, I'd like to convey my best wishes to all of you and for the continued success of the Health Sciences Center. Thank you.
Dr. Granger, we wish you the best and well in your retirement, but we hope to see you regularly as a guest lecturer or just because you miss us a little. It's my pleasure to inform everyone that upon your retirement, you will receive the designation of Boyd Professor Emeritus, which is a very rare designation. So in closing, I'd like us to continue this celebration in honoring Dr. Granger and his family at a reception immediately following in the Zadok conference room. Thank you everyone for being here, and God bless you, and God bless the entire Granger family.